Welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening Program. I'm Jerry Horner, and joining me today is J.B. Portillo, a fellow member of the Bella Vista Garden Club, Benton County Master Gardener, Northwest Arkansas Master Naturalist. She's a master of everything.
Oh,
flowers.
I don't know, but it's fun.
It's fun. So she's just a wealth of information. And we're just so glad to be back and taping the show. We missed last month, and I'm very sorry we couldn't tape last month, but we're going to be taping now from now on. So we do the distancing, and we just do whatever we need to do to get the show.
So how you doing over there, Jerry?
I'm doing fine.
We got our 6-foot thing going on,
right,
and we have the mask for when we get up, and the whole thing, right?
We're prepared.
We are.
Garden Club members are always prepared.
That's right.
So anyway, today we're going to be talking about the Arkansas diamond plants. Now, I know there's a diamond mine you can get diamonds from in Arkansas, but these are diamond plants that we'll be talking about today. And also about some of the events that have been canceled and maybe rescheduled. So we're going to be talking about that. And the Corona-19 has just been amazing to devastate the events we've had.
But you know what? I think it's giving us a new perspective and a new way of thinking. So there's
has.
always good order in chaos somewhere.
There is somewhere. And of course, I've been able to do a lot of work in my garden.
Yes, my yard looks good.
And
is yours?
it has been neglected for so many years, and I had no idea how bad it was. So I'm doing a lot of reconstruction and moving and updating my garden. So it's been good for my garden.
Right.
So anyway, the Bella Vista Garden Club Spring Plant Sale was the first day, Saturday of May, was canceled. And this is the first time I ever remember the plant sale being canceled. We did have to delay it 1 year because it snowed. The first Saturday of May, we had to make it the next week. But anyway, this is the first time it's been canceled. And they did what they called a virtual sale.
Yes, a marketplace on Facebook.
Right, and they did quite well. They
Yes.
sold a lot of plants, and the perennials weren't sold, but they're going to be sold in the fall. And I don't think a date's been set for that yet. But just kind of watch the papers, and we'll get the word out when it's going to be.
We'll post it on the website. We'll also post it on the Facebook page.
On the Facebook, yes. And the virtual sale, they just picked up the plants at wastewater at a specific time, and it was all done very, very efficiently. And they sold tomatoes and annuals and planted containers. Some of those containers were wonderful.
Did you see that bicycle?
Yes, they had a bicycle from the 50s or 60s, sprayed it yellow. Everything was yellow, the whole thing. And then there were baskets of flowers in the front and the back. It was just darling.
Yard art.
It was wonderful.
Yes.
And it did sell. Now, the Benton County Master Gardeners, they delayed their plant sale, but they are going to have one.
Yes, they are.
And they're scheduled for May 15th and May 16th. And May 15th is a Friday. They're going to set up that morning, and they'll have the sale from 1 to 6. And then Saturday, the sale will be from 8 to 1. Now, they're not having the expo this year. They're not having demonstrations and anything like that. So it's just plant sale.
All things garden, they're not doing
They're
that.
not doing anything, tools or extra things, just plants. So the problem is we just don't know the exact location yet. We're hoping it's going to be at the church there in Bentonville, right off the square, but we haven't confirmed that with the church. So if it's not going to be there, it would be at the extension office possibly, or the Helping Hands Garden. Now, the Helping Hands Garden is what the Master Gardeners kind of, have adopted and control. So it's on the south side, northwest side of Helping Hands in Bentonville. So we'll keep people posted what's going on.
And again, I posted on several different sites, especially on Facebook, all of these details, and keep watching that for the location, because we will let you know. We'll broadcast it everywhere.
And they have such wonderful plants. Of course, they were supposed to be sold in April, so now they're just getting bigger and more lush, and they're just looking beautiful. So they have wonderful plants.
Yes.
So watch for that. So we've also canceled our garden club meetings. Master gardeners are having Zoom meetings, and that's been kind of fun and interesting. And then the June luncheon that the garden club usually has, that's been postponed to August. So the card party was canceled. I mean, we just canceled so many things as usual. So,
yes.
But anyway, the garden extravaganza has been postponed.
Just postponed.
And we're going to have that sometime in the fall. We have a date yet?
We are. We're going to try. We're shooting for September. I don't know exactly the date yet. We're working on it. But I tell you what. Here's what we're going to do, folks. Over the starting probably mid-May, we're going to do a highlight on on each of the gardens. On Facebook, we may do some live, we may whatever, and kind of. We're not going to give you addresses because we don't want to ruin anything.
Right.
But I tell you, let me give you some examples of what people are working on right now.
Okay.
We have our really good buddy, Master Gardener, I think she's a garden club person, Dagmar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dagmar. Oh my goodness. Herb garden.
Oh, she is extraordinary.
She's on the actual route that you'd be viewing, and she raises all kinds of herbs, and she teaches you. She would have food that she's made from it, etc. Another one, Tony Lacassi, and anything that Tony does is amazing. So he is working like crazy. He has storyboards he's starting already. He does. And he's having professional photographers do pictures of the plants the way they were supposed to look. And then how they'll, And then another new person who is a freshly minted master gardener, and that's Jen Noki.
Oh, I don't know her.
Jen Noki is truly amazing. She moved here several years ago from California, and there she had a wildlife habitat. So now, over on the east side, she has bought up all the lots around her, and she's reestablished a wildlife sanctuary as well as all kinds of other habitats. And she's taken a yard that was challenging is a good word.
Well, it's always challenging.
Yes, in Bella Vista. Here it is. But she has terraced it. She has built, it's just gorgeous.
Well, that's the sad part. When you're out of the loop and you're kind of, you don't know what's going on, and you got to keep up with all these changes.
And then we have the meditation garden.
Oh, where?
Well, I don't remember.
Oh.
It's over on the west side somewhere.
Okay.
We're not going to give out locations yet. But this is it's a sanctuary, and it's, I mean, right now, you can just go sit there and listen to the waterfalls and do all kinds of Zen and yoga.
We could all use some of that right now.
We could.
Yeah.
And there are many others, but right now, I just want you to know we're not going away. Okay. We are working on a date. All of these people are incredible, and they're very excited. And in the fall, this will be a fundraiser for us. So we'll be selling
our
tickets.
only fundraiser this year.
That's right.
Actually,
that's right.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it as easy as possible, but we really want you all to know that
it's going to be exciting.
It
really is. Because the city's going to be involved.
The city's involved. The POA is involved.
The whole community is involved.
That's right.
It's amazing how we can get all these people to,
we'll have music.
Rally around plantings and gardening, and
we'll have music
and art
yeah.
So it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful event. So
it
might be something to really look forward to.
Exactly.
After all this, and the proceeds that we get will go towards our scholarships, our Dorothy Wallace scholarships.
That's right.
And they have really been depleted in the last 2 years. We have given away $16,000 in scholarship. In the last 2 years, it's been amazing how much we have given away. But without the fundraisers, this year's going to be a little different. So hopefully we'll make enough at the extravaganza. We can continue giving good scholarships to horticulture students. So
that's right.
That's the main thing. That's
right.
why we're doing it.
So I'm excited about these diamonds. Tell me about diamonds.
Well, they started this program. It's the 6th year that they're doing this. They're promoting high-performance annual plants. That's just annuals.
Annuals, okay.
And that do well across the whole state of Arkansas. So it started with the Arkansas Green Industry, and in partnership with the University of Arkansas, Agriculture Cooperative Extension Service, and local growers and independent garden centers. So they get together and they meet annually and they discuss what annuals do well across the whole state, and then they come up with their diamonds. Now,
man, that's a lot, because Arkansas has
is.
every climate you can imagine.
That's right. You have the, you have the Delta, you have the southern area by Louisiana, and if you look at this this poster here, you look for that logo, the Arkansas Diamond logo at the top. Now, this year they've got 3 annuals for summer. And these are the 2 annuals they're coming up for the cool season in the fall.
Oh.
They haven't done that before.
Okay.
So these are the fall plantains.
The ones on the screen?
On the screen.
Okay.
So you have the rose pink pansies, and they're just darling, those little rose pink pansies. And they're from the Nature series of pansies. I'm not real familiar with all the series of pansies, but you look for the Nature series. And then the other one is Glamour Red Kale.
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 Yay.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yes.
It's got a pink center and a green edgings. It's going to be a beautiful plant for the fall. Now the problem is the summer plants I have here, the summer ones, and I don't know if we can show those or not.
Maybe there.
Maybe over here, whatever. This way.
There we go.
Okay, I'll just block myself out. Anyway, you see the logo at the top. The summer ones would be the Persian Shield, and it's an outstanding foliage plant. It looks really dark here, but it's a silvery, let's see, it's combined to green, iridescent purple, and silver, and it grows about 3 foot tall and wide in one season. And when given moisture and light to heavy shade, and you want to avoid direct sunlight. But anyway, you'll see it when you go to the nurseries. It's just a beautiful foliage plant, and it's been around for a while. So anyway, the other one is a bandana white lantana. That's the one in the middle here, and that one loves the heat. Lantana loves heat, and that's right here. It's pale yellow flower buds that open to pure white flowers.
Ooh.
And so, and it's a nonstop bloomer. It blooms all summer. So, and the more sunlight, the better. So lantana is just a beautiful plant, and it can go 24 to 26 inches tall and wide. So it can get pretty good size. Then the last one is got the right one here. This is the last one here. This is dark too, and it is the Solar Power Black Heart Imopia. And we all call it the ornamental sweet potato.
Oh.
It's that sweet potato vine.
Oh, gotcha.
So there's a new one now, and it's dark purple, and it's almost black. It's beautiful. But it's got heart-shaped leaves, and only spread about 3 feet and grow to about 10 or 12 inches tall. It won't take over your garden like the old one did.
Yeah, yeah.
That one you'd plant one and you'd, be lost in your whole
Cutting
garden.
it down
yeah.
with a machete
Right.
later. Yes.
So you plant this in full sun to partial shade and well-drained soil, and with light-colored flowers next to it, something chartreuse is just outstanding. So
Oh, okay.
It'll be stunning. But anyway, you look for the Arkansas Diamond logo. And not every nursery carries them, unfortunately. So it would be nice if we could get them, anywhere. But for now, they are carried at Westwood Gardens at all locations. And we don't really like to promote certain gardens, but in this case, these are the only gardens centers that'll carry these at this point. So it's Westwood Gardens, all locations. They have 4 locations. And Sharam's Garden Center in Springdale. I think they have one at Fort Smith also. And then White River Nursery
That's
in Fayetteville.
one of my favorite,
And
because
I
they
love
have natives.
And they have a lot of natives. So they're very, very attuned to natives and what does well here.
They do.
Too. So those are just great. Now they have been doing this for 6 years, and there was an article in the paper I guess April, in the middle of April, there was an article in the paper about the diamonds. And they listed these 3, and then they listed all the other.
What paper? Is that the?
That's the Northwest Arkansas Democrat Gazette.
Okay, it's not the Vista. It's
No,
the
it's the Democrat
Gazette.
Gazette. And it was in there in April. So just look for those logos, you know, on the pots that'll tell you it's an Arkansas diamond. And then, like I said, there's others. For 6 years they've been doing this, and they have 5 or 6 plants every year. So there's a lot of plants that they recommend that'll do well everywhere. And so, and if you just Google Arkansas diamond plants, you'll get the website, and you can find all the other plants that they've recommended. So it's just been a great program. And it's, like I said, it's interesting that they've talked to people all over the state.
Yes.
And that does well north, south, east, west. I mean, that's amazing for a plant, because sometimes plants do well here and they don't do well somewhere
I know.
else in the state.
So they don't do any perennials?
No, it's mainly annuals right now. So
all right.
Those are the things that, you know, perennials, you get a lot of information from a lot of sources. But as far as annuals, there's not a lot of information you can find about how well an annual does in certain areas.
That's true.
They'll just tell you a little bit about the annual, but this is like a true tested annual that you know will do well. And
So
it's so disappointing to buy an annual and it doesn't do well. You know, it's leggy, or it's doesn't bloom, or you know, it doesn't do well. So it's nice to know you have, and when you put a lot of money in annuals,
Yes.
you know, it's a one-time cost, and if you don't get your bang out of your buck, you get disappointed. So
I'll leave it to you to find this out. Thank
well,
you.
I got a lot of boom out of my buck. But anyway, just look for those. And
Well, speaking of annuals, what's happening right now?
well, I'm first planting my annuals. The problem is we had a terrible hailstorm in Bella Vista last week, and shredded all of my hostas.
I know.
And it was just terrible. So then the other night they forecasted more hail. Well, then I was outside getting all of my pots that I planted and getting in the shed, in the garage, covered with pots, or, you know, just covering everything and trying to save things. We didn't get any hail. So hail is something you just have no idea when it's coming, how bad it's going to be, and what you need to do to prepare for it.
Right.
And, you know, the weather forecaster said it was like a 90% chance we were going to get all this big hail. Didn't happen. So the hail is one thing you can't control, and it was really sad. But my annuals are planted in pots now. I've got mainly a lot of pot annuals, and then I do put some in the ground.
How do you keep those all watered, Jerry?
I just water every day.
Okay, you don't have a watering system?
Not in my pots. I have a watering system in my garden, you know, a drip system, but I just don't have them in the pots, and I just have to. If you put the little crystals in your potting soil, there's little crystals you buy, and they look like little, I don't know, broken up mothballs. But then when they get wet, they blow up like Jell-O.
Oh.
They look like Jell-O. If you put too much in, it looks like you got Jell-O in your pot, so don't put too much in. But anyway, those crystals really help retain the moisture. And then you got to have a good potting soil. You know,
Can you get those crystals at
anywhere?
Okay.
You know,
All right.
box stores, nurseries. They're just little moisture crystals. So those really help.
Well, you know, speaking of hail, I have this year inherited this wonderful, totally raised bed. I mean, it's this high. And I planted all my herbs in there.
Yeah.
And they were doing really, really, really well.
Yeah.
And they still are.
Yeah.
Except the basil, which of course I always try to get it out too soon. So it pretty much got damaged that. But you can redo that.
Well, the problem with that we're also having is we're supposed to have another day.
Yes.
Later this week, where it's going to be 37 degrees at night.
I have a cover
I can't
though.
believe that.
I have a cover.
Well, you need to cover the basil.
Yeah.
Basil and tomatoes and your vegetables do not like to be
I know.
that
They're
cold.
picky that way.
This Mother Nature has really been tricky this year, and she's not been really friendly to us, so you have to work around her.
I try to do my herbs perennials because I really enjoy certain ones. So, but the temperature does have to be above 50,
yeah.
and you need full sun, and all of these things.
But some of your herbs can take partial sun too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So and I like to mix my herbs in with flowers. I don't
Well,
just do this and
That's
this
what
and this.
Dagmar does, because not every herb likes to have sun, dry. They
Right.
have different requirements. So,
Right.
it depends on the herb.
That's right.
People have herb gardens, but then all those herbs in that garden don't necessarily like that location or that climate. So you have to put the plant where it needs to grow well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are you doing about your bulbs?
Bulbs, I still have a lot of the foliage left. They bloom wonderfully this spring, but you have to leave that foliage on there at least I leave about 8 weeks. I leave it till it just dies back, because that feeds your bulb for next year so that you have a flower. If you cut those leaves off as soon as the flower finishes blooming, you won't have a bloom next year.
Right.
So that's why you don't have to fertilize bulbs. You just let it fertilize itself. It's
Right,
great.
right.
But you can remove the foliage after that,
Okay.
after
All right.
they die back.
Well,
But you can plant your caladiums, your bulbs now like caladiums.
Yes.
And summer blooming bulbs, cannas, and elephant ears. Those you can plant now.
cannas, they've taken over my life.
Oh, have
I
they?
just dug up 100 of them and gave them to another master gardener, and she's tickled to death.
Well, yeah.
She won't be in about a year because it'll take over her universe, but they're beautiful.
They are. And some plants, just have to watch that. They can just take over.
They loved where they were, for sure. Okay,
Perennials.
and perennials right now, mulch a lot and
yeah.
divide the ones that you can.
Yes, there's some I have to divide yet.
Let me ask you a question. I have lots and lots and lots of iris in every color you can imagine. And I know that this one bed in particular needs to be dug up because they're not necessarily blooming and all that. But can we still do that right now? Or when do we? When
After
do I
they
do that?
finish blooming.
Well, these didn't
Yeah.
even bloom because they're too
Okay.
crowded. So maybe another couple weeks I could dig them and move them.
Yeah, and when you do move them, just make sure they get the moisture and they have a lot of sun on that root. Because when you plant the iris, you want the rhizome to be
Above the ground,
exposed
yeah.
and not covered with mulch. You don't want to mulch your iris. They like to be high and dry.
Yes.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
So, and I think we're going to have a lot of iris coming up from one of the gardens. I'm told there's a grocery bag full of iris coming, so I have to figure out what to do with them. So,
And I hope
But they're
they are
tough. They're
labeled
tough.
by, yes.
I don't think they're labeled
By
by color.
color?
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Okay.
But
What about
but
your?
they're beautiful.
Oh,
no
I
matter
know.
what.
I love them. I have ones I didn't even know I had. It's amazing.
And some are very fragrant too, so that's wonderful.
What about your lawn? What are you doing?
Well, the lawn's doing fairly well. I'm getting some weeds. It's been a wonderful weed year.
Now
Weeds
you
have
know that that's just a misunderstood flower,
I know,
don't you?
I know. It's just a plant growing where we don't want it to grow.
That's right.
But he doesn't like weeds in his bed. But,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Anyway, but lawns, you just make sure you have at least an inch of water a week. Now, we've been very fortunate to have rain like every week so that we don't have to supply water. So, but just make sure that you have at least an inch of water a week
Gotcha.
on the lawn. And don't mow it more than a third of the top off. You know, don't let it get really tall and then cut it down to an inch or two. That's just not good for the plant.
Scalping.
Yeah, it's scalping. But anyway, you can apply a second pre-emergent crabgrass control between May 15th and June 15th. And fescues you fertilize with nitrogen only if your soil test says you need it. You know, some people just over-fertilize
Yes.
lawns.
Yes.
So, get a soil test and you get that extension office free. And we may have a program about soil tests, maybe it's coming up this year.
Good.
So you can get more information about soil tests.
Good.
But anyway, don't just over-fertilize your lawn. It just makes you cut the grass more and, cause you more problems,
That's true.
more work.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, as far as roses go, I think it's time to watch for aphids and fungus, right?
And
Aphids can be controlled by hard spray from the hose early in the
I
morning.
just hose them off.
Do
if
you
I
really?
See them, yeah.
What,
And
underneath
maybe
and everything?
Just spray the whole thing, and just if they'll fall to the ground. They won't come back up on the plant. If you do that for 2 or 3 days in a row, they're just gone, you know. So
Okay, so they
aphids
don't like
are
water.
easy to control. Easy to control.
And you fertilize established roses because they're heavy feeders. You know,
Right.
I have this wonderful yellow, used to be wonderful, yellow climbing rose. And what would you do to kind of bring it back? It's still there,
Okay.
but it needs to be...
Now, climbers are a little different. On your tea roses and your floribundas and miniatures, you trim those like in February,
Right.
March. Climbing roses, you don't trim till after they bloom for the first time. So you let them grow and bloom, and then you do some controlling trimming. The main thing with your climbers is your fertilizer.
What do you use on... Do you have climbers?
Well, yes, I do.
Okay.
And I actually, there's a formula for a natural fertilizer from Gwen Kerr
Okay.
on the Bella Vista Garden Club website. You go to the website, you look for gardening information, then you look for roses, and the recipe is there. Now, her recipe takes a lot of ingredients, and some of them you can't find everywhere. I have been able to find a lot of things in Johnson, Arkansas, and but it does make a pretty good amount of fertilizer, so it'll last you a year or two.
Okay.
So, but it's a wonderful, wonderful recipe.
Well, I'm telling you, if her garden is any indication...
Oh, she has the most beautiful roses.
She does.
Every plant she has is beautiful.
That's right.
But it's a really good recipe for an organic feeder for roses.
And they need a lot of water, too.
Well, they need water, yeah.
Okay.
They don't like to dry up. They
Okay.
like water.
All right. Well, what about your trees,
Trees
and
and
shrubs?
Well, they're doing pretty well. We had a little winter freeze. I think the worst part was the November freeze we had early, and I think it really affected a lot of the shrubs, more so than the winter.
Right.
So we've been cutting back some of the damage now that it's growing season for the shrubs. But you want to prune the shrubs after they bloom, like the azaleas are.
Oh, yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
So after they bloom, you would want to trim them, up if you need to trim them.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and then newly planted trees, you should make sure they,
Get a lot of
enough
water.
Yeah. So.
Well, I tell you what, I've got...
And then you feed the rhododendrons and azaleas after they bloom. So that'll help them set the buds for next year.
Exactly.
So you don't feed them late in the year. You want to feed them right after they bloom. So.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what, I have 14 raised beds, and I have I planted the early, the cold weather veggies, and they're doing okay. The hail got to them a little bit, but now I've got I went ahead and took a chance and put my tomatoes out. So I bought all my tomato plants from the Master Gardeners and the Garden Club.
Well, they had some wonderful
did.
varieties. They really
did.
did. I have one. I'm not a big vegetable grower. I don't
Yeah.
grow vegetables.
Well,
very
and then
much.
I planted my pole beans and my bush beans, and I love cucumbers and squash. So it's all out there, and we'll just see what happens.
Well, when you don't have any sun, you don't
Yes.
grow vegetables. I don't have hardly any sun.
I
It's
gotcha.
mostly shade. So I'm handicapped with sun.
Well, but I tell you what, if I start getting a lot of vegetables, I know where you live.
You drop them off at my porch.
Exactly.
But anyway, for more gardening information, you can go to the Master Gardener website, and that is, I think they had it on the screen. It was bentoncountygardening.org.
Yes.
And there's a lot of information there. And then the Bella Vista Garden Club website, it's bellavistagardenclub.com. It's very easy to find. It's easy to negotiate. And we're going to be doing some updating of our website. I think Google has mandated a big change, so we're just kind of looking at what we're going to have to change. And we may have to change every page. We'll have to see.
Well,
But
it needs
it's
updating anyway,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
you got to
good.
keep current. You got to keep current.
Yes.
But anyway, there's a lot of information there, and we're going to be adding more. So we'll add more information. And the garden club meetings have been canceled for the rest of the season, so we won't have any meetings until I think August. We'll have a luncheon, but then I think our meetings will start up again in September if all goes well. And then Master Gardeners meetings have been Zoom meetings. We don't know when we're going to be able to go face to face.
Well, we're hoping to be able to go to the blueberry farm.
Right, that's one of the things that the Master Gardeners, in the June, they usually had a field trip or a little picnic or something like that. So instead of just meeting in a meeting room. So this June, we're supposed to go to Ryan Neal's blueberry farm.
Yes.
So that'll be fun.
It will.
Yeah. So, but JB, thank you for joining me today and all the information you've shared about the extravaganza, which is going to be wonderful.
It is. It's going to be amazing.
It is. Just look for that. We'll be talking more about that in the next show. And I hope you've enjoyed the program. And until next month, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.
I don't know, but it's nice to see something